respect Shakur for trying to get that knockout. Who would have thought that the guy running was Buddha Sayan, the one who said that Shakur was going to run. I seen Shakur's eyes. There was a time where he looked at Christina Poncher and myself, and he said, I'm going to knock him out. It was about the 6th round. And I actually thought he was going to get it. But there's some fighters who you're not going to knock out. Buddha Sayan is a tough fighter. Don't underestimate the guy. Shakur might make him look easy, but he's not an easy opponent.
How much easier is boxing when Shakur Stevenson is not in front of you? That guy's difficult, isn't he?
Oh yeah, Shakur's that guy has a ring IQ like none other. He's defensive is another level. His speed, straight, his long reach. I couldn't get close to him.
How can a boxer lose a fight without taking real punishment? It sounds impossible, yet it's one of the strangest realities in today's boxing scene, and the reason one of the era's most skilled champions was left out of the record books. Picture entering the ring ready for war, only to discover your opponent isn't trying to overpower you at all. Instead, is controlling distance, movement, and rhythm so completely that it feels like the ring itself is working against you. This has nothing to do with brute strength or lightning speed. It's a mental breakdown, an erosion of confidence and control so severe that even an elite fighter like Oscar Valdez looked helpless by the end. Shakur Stevenson exited the night with every belt and a flawless scorecard, yet the reaction from fans and analysts was far from celebratory. Rather than praise, controversy followed. Soon, accusations flooded the boxing world. Critics argued that Stevenson's victory wasn't just about skill, but about exploiting a defensive approach many believe crosses the line, one that officials appear unwilling or unable to confront. What followed wasn't applause, but debate that shook the sport.
Because one thing that happened to me was, I got frustrated in there with Shakur Stevenson. But like I said before, Teofimo Lopez is a completely different fighter. He actually thinks in the ring with his ring generalship, and he has a game plan. And whatever game plan it is, I would say stick to it. Because Shakur Stevenson, I don't think he's going to risk a lot with Teofimo. With someone with Teofimo who does carry a big punch.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. We saw be a little bit more offensive against Cepeda, Camarón, and it was a great fight, man. I felt like that was one of Shakur's best performances. I'm like, man, these are the type of I want to see more of this from Shakur, because yeah, he did get hit a little bit more than he wanted to, but it was an entertaining fight. Do you think we see that come out of Shakur in this fight with Teo?
Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson was obligated to be that fight. I mean, there's someone like Camarón Cepeda who's become putting all that pressure on him. Shakur Stevenson was obligated. He had no choice but to come out, and respond. And that was a great fight for Shakur Stevenson. I was watching it. I was like, man, that's what the people want to see. But Shakur's there to win. He's not there to please the crowd. He said it before. He wants to just win. So he did an amazing fight, in my opinion, with Camarón Cepeda. He got hit, but nothing too bad, in my opinion, where it was considered a war, or where he got hit.
On the night Oscar Valdez faced Shakur Stevenson, he walked into the ring ready for violence. He was prepared for chaos, the relentless pressure and heart that had defined his career. What he didn't expect was something far worse. There was no war. There was no exchange. Instead, he found himself caught in a fight that felt unreal afterward. Valdez spoke about a fear every boxer dreads experiencing, the moment when preparation means nothing. You throw sharp combinations with perfect timing, and they pass through empty space. No contact, no feedback, just A. But this wasn't simply about missing punches. With each round, something deeper was slipping away. This wasn't a fight he was losing on the scorecards alone. His confidence, his rhythm, even his sense of control were being stripped from him. By the middle rounds, the expression on Valdez's face told the story. It wasn't fatigue, it was disbelief and mounting despair. He was being dismantled, not by brute force, but by an opponent who never needed to chase a knockout.
And the other feather in Shakur's cap is, okay, if you are able to cut the distance, it's still hard to hit him because, like you mentioned, he rolls back a little bit, he turns a little bit, he'll catch a punch. So it's tough, man, when you're in there with a guy like that you're throwing these punches and you're not really hitting. One thing though, like I believe you try to go to the body actually a lot now that I think about it against Shakur, but yeah, I haven't seen a lot of people try to go to Shakur's body lately.
No, he's a defensive fighter. I mean, that's always been said from all culture. When you fight guys that fight on the back foot or they run, hit them to a body. But it's one of those things again where it's easier said than done. You know, hit the body. You know, yeah, of course, certain people have the knockout power, but you got to hit them first. And Shakur Stevenson, the way he's positioned, the way his back foot's there, and then you see him comfortable, and he's all right. This is my shot, and you throw it. He just rocks back, or he has that back foot, just steps back, and he has a long reach, so he just counter punches you. And that's part of the game. You get hit and not get hit, and Shakur Stevenson does it to the T. He perfected that since he was an amateur and Olympian, silver medalist, and now he's done it as a professional. The whole world enjoys it, but the boxing, the pure boxing fan will maybe appreciate that.
I know you tried to do it, and Shakur's undefeated at this point, but like, how do you beat a Shakur Stevenson?
You know, I think how you beat a Shakur Stevenson, if I can go back and you do something, try. And I say this try because, like I said, you just said it done, but try to put the pressure like Cameron Cepeda did. And just wait for your shot to land good in it and make that damage where he has no other.
So what was the tactic that left Valdez so unsettled? Inside boxing's inner circles, it's a subtle craft often whispered about. A maneuver sometimes called the stick and control. And once you notice it, it's impossible to ignore. Most fighters rely on their lead hand to probe, jab, or judge distance. Stevenson, however, repurposes it into something far more disruptive. Instead of simply extending his hand, he uses it to occupy space, placing his glove directly onto his opponent's face. He'll touch the nose, slide across the eyes, or linger just long enough to interfere with vision. This isn't a punch meant to score. It's a positioning tactic, a way to interrupt sightlines, break timing, and force constant resets. And before an official can react, Stevenson is already gone, angled out of range, leaving his opponent throwing at nothing while their focus is still compromised. It's an old-school maneuver that lives in the gray areas of the rulebook. Not blatant enough to draw constant warnings, yet effective enough to dominate elite fighters. To some, it's a clever ring IQ. To others, it's a loophole so powerful it feels like a shortcut to control.
Oscar Valdez thought Shakur was going to win. Teofimo won. He was like, no. I think Teofimo Lopez, it's a 50-50 fight in my opinion. Because, you know, Teofimo's been proving it before. And I gotta emphasize this, you know, if someone can pull it off, it's definitely Teofimo Lopez. If Teofimo Lopez doesn't do it, I don't see who is going to beat Shakur Stevenson. I don't see another fighter who will beat him. As I know I said Pitbull, I think because I gave Pitbull gave him some problems, but I wouldn't see no one else beat him unless Shakur. And then he's obligated to have some competition with I don't know, Ben Conner and all the other welterweights who are doing amazing things in the division. But either from 130 to 135 to 140, I want to see not even Keyshawn Davis, who they have said before they're not going to fight, but I don't see another fighter even. Well, I will say one fighter. The next years, Abdullah Mason. I think Abdullah Mason is a hot prospect. I know he's a world champion now, but I think I'm a big fan of Abdullah Mason. I think he's going to bring amazing things to the world of boxing.
Yeah, no, it's like just off the top of my head too, I'm like thinking like who at like 140 would like pose the biggest like challenge or like the biggest threat to Shakur. And honestly, it's Teo. Like outside of Teo, like, oh, you know, Gary Antoine Russell's there, Richardson Hitchens there, but I you know, Shakur would be the favorite in those fights as well. Dalton as well. Like Shakur would be the favorite. Pitbull as well. Shakur would be the favorite. Lamont Roach. I think, you know, maybe Lamont Roach and Pitbull are a little
I don't even know how the odds are with this fight. What are the odds for
you know what? I am not sure, but I would say that Shakur is probably the betting favorite, just given, you know, what we've been talking about for odds versus Teofimo. Let's see here what the odds are, but I wouldn't imagine they're here we go. Plus 240 is Teo.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Let's see here. That's one of the betting. Yeah. Plus 240 underdog. So if you bet $100, you get 240 if Teal wins. So you bettors out there, I don't know if you guys, if anyone knows inside info more than us, let us know, because that's a money-making opportunity right there.
The consequences of that approach didn't end when the final bell rang. They reached all the way into the editorial rooms of the Ring magazine. Even though many observers praised Stevenson's performance as a clinic in technique, the panel responsible for pound-for-pound rankings made a stunning decision. They shut the door on him. Instead of welcoming him into the top 10, voters held him out entirely. One panelist even went on record saying that a noticeable portion of Stevenson's effectiveness came from actions that pushed beyond the rules. Their argument was simple. A truly elite pound-for-pound fighter shouldn't need borderline tactics, like prolonged hand placement on the face, to control the fight. That decision split the boxing world down the middle. Some saw Stevenson as a brilliant tactician who had unlocked a deeper level of ringcraft. Others viewed him as a fighter benefiting from rule bending that referees either overlooked or didn't fully grasp. And the bout with Oscar Valdez became the centerpiece of that debate.
The fight with Oscar Valdez, Mexican-American, right? They put the Ring magazine title on the line. However, you look at the latest news, they did a brand new Ring magazine updates, and Shakur Stevenson earns the Ring title, but he doesn't enter the pound-for-pound Ring rankings, similar to what they did to other Black American fighter, Jermell Charlo. And if you look at some of the quotes, it just sounds laughable. Quote, one of the committee members says, quote, "I don't like the idea of Shakur Stevenson coming in at pound for pound. I can wait until he wins a fight in which he does not stick and rub his glove on his opponent's face for the better part of 12 rounds. At least 10% of his success was due to that illegal tactic on Saturday. True, the remaining 90% was impressive enough, but pound for pound has to have the component of sportsmanship that I honestly didn't see from him. In the fight for the number 10 spot, this is a 10-7 round for Ioka. Game over. Sorry, Shaq." And he abbreviated Shakur Stevenson. I don't know anyone who calls him Shaq, but this is somebody who determined that Shakur Stevenson basically cheated and did something.
To see why this approach works so well, you have to break down how it dismantles an experienced fighter on multiple levels. First is visual disruption. When a boxer can't clearly see what's coming back at him, defensive reactions slow down. Stevenson uses brief contact with the glove to interfere with sight, just as he shifts position, buying himself an extra beat to escape or counter. Next comes range control. His extended lead arm becomes a moving barrier, keeping aggressive punches from closing the gap. For someone like Valdez, who thrives at close range, that constant obstruction turns offense into frustration. The final layer is mental erosion. Being repeatedly touched, redirected, and momentarily blinded wears on a fighter's patience. Over time, discipline fades. Fighters start reaching, forcing shots, and abandoning their game plan. That's the opening Stevenson waits for. This is why Valdez exited the bout looking battered despite the lack of sustained exchanges. The damage wasn't the result of crushing blows, but of repeated friction, disruption, and cumulative stress from a defense that never allowed him to settle or fight on his terms.
I'm fighting a road runner. I'm the Coyote. You chose me. I ain't choose you. You chose me. So I'm gonna tell you straight the F up. You can go back to 135. We'll send you back to lightweight. You still got your WBC belt. You're gonna be fine. Shakur will fall.
As 2026 approaches, this debate has reached its breaking point. All eyes are now fixed on January 31st, when Shakur Stevenson is set to face Teofimo Lopez under the bright lights of Madison Square Garden. And Lopez isn't walking into this blind. He's been fixated on Stevenson's methods for months, but he hasn't just acknowledged the controversy. He's leaned into it. Publicly, Lopez has accused Stevenson of turning elite boxing into a track meet, even suggesting that he's ready to push the boundaries himself if that's what it takes to neutralize the constant hand interference. What was once a standard title bout has evolved into something far more personal. This fight has become a referendum on modern ringcraft. Lopez insists he's cracked the code to dismantling the so-called ghost style. But skeptics aren't convinced. They question whether any amount of preparation can truly account for an opponent who thrives on denying vision, rhythm, and predictability, long before a punch ever lands.
Shakur is stepping up because he got nobody else to go after. He's stepping up to try to prove a point. You know, his big bro, aka Terrence Bud Crawford, you know, put a huge upset and made a historical moment in time for the sport of boxing and changed it by beating Canelo Alvarez to become the undisputed super middleweight world champion. So I think that I think those things like that make Shakur want to step up the plate, step up to the challenge, and face Teofimo, who is I. So I'm going to show everyone that his defense is not as immaculable like they say.
The reaction from fans has been sharply divided. Supporters view Shakur as a master technician, a fighter operating several steps ahead of opponents who rely on more straightforward aggression. To them, his approach is no different from a subtle rule bending once used by defensive greats like Floyd Mayweather, who built entire careers on controlling space and minimizing risk. Opponents see it very differently. They argue that this style drains excitement from the sport and sets a dangerous precedent. If every boxer leaned heavily on extended hands, obstruction, and constant disruption, critics warn that matches would devolve into slow, awkward exchanges filled with fouls and endless clinching. The concern doesn't stop with established stars. Rising prospects, including names like Abdullah Mason, are now under the microscope as fans and analysts watch to see whether this approach becomes the new standard. It's led many to question whether boxing is heading toward an era where aesthetics take a back seat, and victory, no matter how ugly, becomes the only goal.
I think that's the hardest one. I think that's the hardest one to pick, depending on who the judges are. Cause I think I'm gonna go Shakur. I'm gonna just go Shakur because I think defensively he's a little more sound. I think, I also think not only is he sound, I also think that a lot of the judges and referees give him credit for being defensively sound. You know, I think he's probably the only fighter in boxing that gets credit for being defensively sound. You know what I mean? So, I thought the Shakur that fought Williams Zepeda was phenomenal. Yeah. And, I just think that defensively, damn, I love Teofimo though, but damn, I'm gonna go draw. If we got the right judges, man, and the judges are playing it right, I think Teofimo throws more. I don't think he lands more, but I think he throws more, and that makes it more entertaining for how the judges can score the card, because I think Teofimo's going to push the pressure. He's going to throw more. I don't think he will land more, but I think it balances out the fight to say, arguably, that man deserves to draw.
At the end of the day, Shakur Stevenson isn't concerned with narratives or nicknames. His record is clean. His captured titles across multiple divisions, and in his own mind, his place among the all-time greats is already secured. But dominance comes with a cost. By making himself so difficult to touch, he's also cast himself as the antagonist in the eyes of many fans today as he gets ready to step into Madison Square Garden against Teofimo Lopez. The question goes beyond who gets their hand raised. The real test is whether Stevenson can win in a way that finally wins over the audience that remains unconvinced. Is elite defense destined to blur the rules, or is the boxing world simply struggling to keep pace with a higher level of psychological combat? One thing is clear. After January 31st, this style will no longer sit in the gray area. Either it will be cemented as a brilliant evolution of ringcraft, or exposed as the vulnerability that finally brings the ghost back into focus. Now we want to hear from you. Is Shakur Stevenson pushing the limits to win, or is he just playing a smarter game than everyone else? Drop your thoughts in the comments. That's it for today's breakdown. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. We'll see you in the next one.